When you need to send form data somewhere, like an email service, a spreadsheet, or an automation tool, you usually have two options: build a backend or use a service like Zapier. The Zapier library in Clutch makes that second option easy. Instead of writing your own API logic, you'll just connect a form to your Zapier webhook, and Clutch takes care of sending that data for you, or the Zapier library, I should say, takes care of that data for you. So in this video, we're going to be walking through how to create and build a contact form, then creating a Zap in Zapier, and then connecting to that Zap with the webhook. Then we'll be testing it out, and then we'll finally end with a couple other features that the Zapier library offers to help with avoiding duplicate sends of a form. Let's start by building a simple contact form. What I've prepared here is a simple page, a contact form. This is using the form from the Clutch Elements library. So if we search for form, and then we look for this very first contact form, we get a name, an email, and a message. And that's exactly what we have here. So we have a name field, email, and a text area field. This is going to be our message. And then we're going to just verify that we have all of our properties set up correctly, making sure that we have the name field in place. I'm not going to worry about a minimum length, so I'm just going to remove that. And then we'll just double check and verify with the other properties. So name, email, type, email, perfect, patterns, all good. And finally, the name. So everything looks good here. We're also got a couple of things set up for required. And we can continue on now to create our first Zap. So we're going to go to Zapier now. And if you haven't done so already, you will need to create an account with Zapier to be able to create your first Zap. And then once you do so, we can create our first Zap by hitting the plus sign, create a Zap. From here, it looks like Zapier has some AI tooling to help us work out our automation. We're not going to worry about working with any of the AI. We just want to create our very first trigger. So we're going to use a webhook. And once we have our webhook, we'll define the trigger event. This one we'll just do a catch hook. And then we can test our hook. Once we hit test, we can copy our webhook URL. Then back to Clutch, we can go to our contact form. And here we'll go and add the Zapier send to Zapier action to our form. So this comes from the library. And if you haven't done so, you'll need to make sure that you have the Zapier library installed in your project. If you do not have the Zapier library installed in your project, you can go and explore the marketplace, and you can find in the integration section the Zapier integration. So on submit for our form, we'll select our new action. That'll be the send to Zapier action. And we need to take that webhook that we just got from Zapier, add it here. And then we have to supply the action with our form data. So I'm going to click the bind, and this bind's going to open up, and it's going to show our email form, which we could rename this. So let's go through and actually rename that, because this is going to be contact form. Actually, I think that is the correct one. Yeah, so it is contact form. So I scroll down a little bit further in this list, because there is a second form on this page that I forgot about. We have our contact form, and we have an object with some data. So we have our name, email, message, and we're just going to take that entire object and select it. So we now have our action set up to receive our data, and it's connected with our webhook. And we can go ahead and test this contact form by filling it out and hitting submit. With that filled out, we can hit submit, and we'll see that the form was submitted successfully. Back over into Zapier, we can test that trigger, and we'll see that a record has appeared from Clutch. So here's our record, and we see our new record that was just submitted. So you could take this even further now that data is flowing in, and we could add an action like any of the actions that are provided here from Zapier. I'll use a table, and we'll go through and we'll create a brand new record. Then we'll use an existing table that I already have. So we have a contact form table that I created earlier, and we just need to bind up our fields. So we'll bind up the name, message, and email fields, and hit continue. And if we hit test, everything was successful. It's asking me to upgrade to Pro. Not necessary for this demo, but we could go to the Zapier table and go check to see if that record is now flowing in. And of course, we see my message and everything set up in there. And that's the very basics of using the Zapier library, connecting to a webhook and submitting your form data to a Zap that you've created. One other thing that you often want to do when building forms is you want to be able to create some type of safeguard, like avoiding duplicate sends or limiting how many times a form can be submitted at any given time. And to do that, the Zapier library also offers a couple other actions that can be added to the same exact form itself. So these include verify your call limit and verify call timeout. To use the verify call limit action here to protect yourself from how many times somebody's trying to submit a form at any given time, what you can do is provide a form ID. This can be anything that you want it to be. So I'm going to call this my contact form, and we're going to provide max sends of 1. And then we'll add a custom error message like what's something familiar? Like, so then once we go through and try and submit this form now, that limit will engage. So if I click and then click again, I get my error message, and this will also stop the form from being sent more than one time. Once you've gotten to this far, it's up to you on what happens and how you handle things next. So after the form is submitted, you can show thank you messages, reset the field, and redirect the user. To recap, you've learned how to build a form. We connected it to a Zapier webhook, and we created some safeguards to prevent accidental resubmissions on our form. I hope you guys enjoyed this Zapier integration video. If you guys have any comments about this integration, go ahead and leave a comment down below, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.